Using capital ships. Now, of course, with what CIG has told us recently about NPCs, I figured it would be a good time to do a video about capital ships. Of course, I have 5-star crime stat rating, and I'm not going to be visiting Olisar anytime soon, so pulling out a cap ship is just not in the cards. And this, I feel, is the best time to do this video.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.
Also, wouldn't you know it, transferring weapons, and I was about to say 7.2. 3.2 is a little bit broken, as in completely broken. So there's a lot of things that I want to test, and yeah. Can't quite do that right now. So, in general, the idea that CIG is putting forward, putting NPCs in a turret, and they gave the number 95% accurate right now. Yeah, putting NPCs in a turret, you're just asking, in a way, you're just asking a program to turn something and shoot at something. It's nothing new in video games. It's something that we've had for a long time. You think of any video game, whether it's like tank-based, plane-based, action, adventure, RPG, anything like that, telling, an NPC to attack a player and use these abilities or do it this way or do it that way. It's nothing new and nothing surprising that, an NPC would be good at it, right? So it was never something that ever troubled me. Of course NPCs can sit in turrets and shoot. But when it comes down to tasks that may require a little bit of creativity or a little bit of creative thinking, that's where you start to ask questions about NPCs, right? And that's always been a big source of confusion and confrontation in the community, because there's this idea that, you can just teach an NPC to do anything. Well, not really. There are a lot of things that you do as a player that involve creative choices or ways that you can kind of exploit things in a way, I would call it more of a soft exploit, where you know that there's a certain weakness and you know how to take advantage of that. So I don't really think that you're going to suffer too heavily from using NPCs. I think that the biggest disconnect is probably going to be the learned behaviors that we all pick up as players, whether slowly or quickly. We learn to deal with certain dynamic situations, whereas an NPC might have to be told how to deal with that situation. Like, let's say there's an ion storm in a system, and so that makes a certain band of the sensors or a certain band that you may be scanning, something like that, unusable, whereas an NPC might scan the entire spectrum. A player might know to just, I know that this is this type of ion storm, so I can avoid these frequencies here and just scan over here and try to find things that way. Just a vague example, I admit, but you understand what I'm hopefully trying to go for there with that idea. As players, we start to pick up certain things. We start to, make certain shortcuts in our mind where we can kind of skip over certain tasks because we don't need to do them, or we know that something is going to happen in a certain way. And so we can kind of shortcut and get to whatever our goal is faster. In the end, I don't think that you're ever going to get, an NPC that is going to exhibit those human qualities, because at that point, when you're talking about thinking creatively around certain problems or trying to find a different way to go about things, I mean, at that point, you're creating an actual AI, right? So I don't think that that's something that's on the menu, but having that NPC be competent at that job, I think that that's definitely a reachable and attainable goal. I mean, we see it displayed in so many video games, like I said. So, yeah, I don't think that NPCs are going to be a disappointment, and someone certainly who crews their ship with NPCs are going to feel that, oh man, this is terrible. I think that But there are going to be certain times where you're going to be like, oh man, why didn't you just know to do that? Why didn't you just figure that out? And like, and whereas a human player would be like, oh yeah, that's out of place, I should fix that. That sort of thing. I think that that's really what it's going to come down to. And when players are good at the game and coordinating and they know how to do their job, I think they are going to have an edge over NPCs. How much of an edge remains to be seen. Once again, system we don't even have in our hands, so it's very difficult to tell. And even when we do get it, they're going to obviously iterate on it, and it's going to be something that changes over time. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see on a lot of those things. But that's generally where I feel that it's going to fall. At the same time, the thing that worries me about it the most, the thing that kind of when I look at these systems and I kind of look at them and I think, is that really such a good idea? And this is something that we should be a little bit careful about, is when it comes to that, obviously there's a big convenience factor, right? If you have, let's say, a bunch of small game packages, I do, or you know, the cheap game packages that you can buy every now and again. I have a few of them. I know that there's many players out there who do, because every time they come up for sale, they're gone like that. I would be more concerned with not so much someone being able to solo content just by buying NPCs. I would be more concerned with the fact that if it became such a convenience, if it became so good, that there really just was no point in bringing anybody else on your ship. If you ever got to a point where it's, I don't want to sit there and wait 10 minutes for so-and-so to log on, or I don't want to wait an extra 5 minutes or fly over here to go pick up my buddy because I've got NPCs. Just get your own ship and come meet me. I would be a little bit worried that that could possibly degrade the social aspect of the game, which, you know, it's an aspect of the game which at times can be inconvenient or difficult to manage, but I think that in an intangible way, it's a very rewarding part of the game as well. In a weird way, it kind of, to me, it kind of relates a little bit to, and you're probably thinking I'm going to say, wow, but Star Trek Online. When I first started playing Star Trek Online, of course, I played as Klingons because, you know, Klingons just have some of the most awesome looking ships. And one of my big disappointments in that game was once you got up to the cruisers and whatnot, for the Klingon Empire, of course, in the beginning, the tech tree was a lot different and was mostly birds of prey in the beginning. And I don't think you got to a cruiser until you hit level 30 or something. Once you got around to the interiors of your ship, you know, they tried their best to kind of bring the ships to life. But it was all these NPCs walking around these kind of generic corridors, and so it wasn't really all that great. And it kind of felt lifeless in a way, and you kind of wanted to bring other people to your ship. To, you know, check out my ship, check out my ship. But it was, you know, once again, the interiors were all generic. It wasn't like something in Star Citizen where every ship has a unique interior identity, which is a great thing about Star Citizen, right? Which is kind of why when people say, oh my god, it takes so long to make these ships, I totally understand, you know, the time and the craftsmanship that goes into these ships. I totally get it and I respect it. Yeah, when you're looking at Star Trek Online and you want to bring somebody else onto your ship, well, what are they going to do on your ship? Are they going to get to share your missions? Are they going to get to do this and that? And are they going to get to operate all these different stations? Well, no. They get to walk around and just kind of like hang out on your ship. And that's not fun and that's not interesting. Whereas Star Citizen kind of finally bridges that gap and allows them to operate different systems and allows them to participate in what you're doing. To what degree, we have yet to see implemented, but there's a lot of great things about that. And I think that the shared experience is something that, you know, sadly, a lot of people are trying to skip past, and they're saying, oh, I'm just going to have NPCs operating all your stuff or all my stuff. And, you know, I'm also in that boat because I think of the convenience factor, and that's kind of why I bought those cheapy game packages. But I feel that there's something lost when you don't have other players playing with you, right? And so I think that that's the real danger around NPCs, is the fact that in a way it almost would reinforce an anti-social, anti-sharing type of gameplay, where it's not actively like, I hate people and I don't want people on my ship, but it's more a fact of, yeah, I could go over there and I could get this guy and I could get that guy and be like, come on, let's go. But it's just like, it's 10 minutes that way and then 10 minutes back, and I just want to get the mission done, so I'm just gonna scoop up my NPCs. That type of thing. That's more where my worry lies. You know, at the same time, and it's not that I want to, you know, knock using NPCs as crewmen on your ship. I don't want to knock that in any way, and I don't want to take that option away. I think there would be nothing worse for the game than to have somebody who owns a capital ship or a medium ship or whatever, a multi-crew ship, having them sit there in the hangar looking at their ship, you know, just becoming, you know, the physical embodiment of the sad face emoji, just going, I wish I could fly my ship, but nobody's online and NPCs suck. And they're just looking at their ship all sad. I don't want that to ever be a factor in the game, but I wonder where the balance is going to fall, right? To the point where, are you willing to wait a little extra for a player just beyond the social aspect? Is there going to be a reason for them to get on your ship, financially speaking, beyond just like, hey, I want to hang out with Minion Soldier? To have someone, let's say someone who owns just an Aurora, say, hey, you know what, I really can't make as much money in my Aurora as I could make, say, flying with Minion Soldier on his Reclaimer, so I'm gonna take a couple extra hops just to get over there so I can get on that Reclaimer and help him out, and at the same time help myself much more quickly than I would be if I were just tooling around in my own Aurora. So I think hitting a balance point between those two things is going to be a difficult thing to do. I mean, I think ultimately it will rely on the social aspect of it. You know, how much do you want to play with your friends? That's going to kind of define it, and how much they want to play with you. But I still feel that there should be, within the game, there should be enough of a reward, certainly, to operating a capital ship or a large multi-crew ship, that you can easily afford to give a solid incentive to other players to hop on that ship and crew that ship with you. Finding that balance is going to be, it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. Anyways, that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.